Hello everybody, welcome back to the Restart CBD channel. My name is Shayda. I'm one of the co-founders and owners of Restart CBD and maybe a familiar face that you've seen from this channel, but I'm coming to you today to share with you a tried and true product actually. Many of you might have been familiar with using a Volcano in your previous formative years. If you're like me, it's definitely something that I've dabbled with in kind of high school and college, but I've never actually owned my own, and what we're going to go through today is the Volcano by Storz & Bickel. It is a German engineered herb vaporizer, and it's something that honestly, again, I've known a lot about but hadn't personally explored until I recently purchased one for myself, and I've gotten a lot of questions about it, and so that's what we're going to answer today. We're going to walk through the device. I'm going to show you how to load it, how to turn it on, give you a little bit of tips and tricks that I've figured out over the past couple days of using the Volcano myself. But with that said, we're going to dive right in. Specifically, we are going to be reviewing the Volcano Hybrid. So the part that makes it hybrid is it actually has a digital screen to it. So we're going to, use some of these buttons to turn the device on, to play around with the temperature. This is actually the loading chamber. This is what you're going to put your ground up bud in, and then you're going to load it into the Volcano. Of course, I've got some bud right here. This is something that came with the device. It's their own grinder, and I suggest actually using their device because it's going to grind it up extremely fine, which is what you want when you're using the Volcano. And then this is one of two ways that you can consume. This is going to be the bag way. There's also a straw or tube that I am going to show you guys in another video, but these are pretty much the most out of the box, quick, easy way to set up your Volcano and get it functioning so that you can start to smoke from it. You might be wondering, why would I want an herb vaporizer? Well, an herb vaporizer is kind of in the category of, smoking and inhalation. So definitely in terms of bioavailability, smoking and inhalation is going to be one of the fastest ways that you can experience cannabis. You're going to, inhale it and your lungs are going to process it and you're going to feel it faster. But in terms of traditional smoking, whether it's a joint or a pipe or a bong where you're using combustion or fire, herb vaporizers actually allow you to essentially bake the bud, and so you're producing a vapor which is much cleaner for you to be inhaling. So if you're someone like myself who has been a lifelong cannabis smoker and you want to look for something that is a little bit more health friendly for you to be continuing to consume cannabis, I definitely recommend looking into herb vaporizers. And so this is going to be a desktop, essentially, plugged into power type of herb vaporizer. If you want a handheld herb vaporizer for when you're on the go, definitely check out some of our other videos. We have other products that are in the handheld. So we're going to dive into how to turn this thing on right now. The best way to kind of think about it is you have your heat and your air. Heat is going to be your on and off switch. The minus arrow and the plus arrow are going to be, how you control the temperature. And then I'll show you air is what you're going to actually use to get that heat into the product and turn it into that vapor. So we're going to go ahead and start by turning it on. Now I have my device preset to 345. This is just a personal preference. There's definitely a lot of documents out there, blogs, reports that give you a range for burning different cannabinoids. One of the best things about herb vaping is getting to actually taste those different cannabinoids and terpenes. And so by controlling the heat, you can actually dial in the experience to hit different terpenes. And so this is something that I found to be a good range for me. Anywhere from kind of 340 to 380 is what I've heard is really good for cannabis. So this is turning my device on. As you can see, the number is kind of going up. This is meaning the device is heating itself up, and it's going to buzz when that number climbs to reach the temperature that I have set it at. So while this is working, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what to do meanwhile, which is loading your bowl. This is the herb grinder that came pre-packed with the Storz & Bickel Volcano. I'm not gonna be super fancy here. I just have, some ground up cannabis. I'm just going to, the machine is ready. I'm just gonna dump a little bit in here. Now, what I will say and share is you kind of wanna load it very similar to how you would load a bowl. You wanna load, maybe enough for just yourself. You don't wanna overload it. And so I'd say that is a good amount that I'm going to go ahead and just grind up. And again, you wanna make sure it's super finely ground because you want it to be packed really nicely into the Volcano device. Give it a few quick, effective turns. And then this is gonna be the device that you're going to actually load the bud into, and then this is what's gonna go on top of the Volcano and actually produce that heat. So I'm going to untwist it. It almost has like a little lock in there, so that way it doesn't come apart, so it's locked. So this is the chamber that you're going to want to load the bud into. One of the tips that I've learned is I just take a piece of paper. This is actually the instruction manual that I got from purchasing the device. And I'm just gonna dump all that ground bud into something that's gonna help me put it into the loading device. So I'm just going to do this, very professional. And then I'm gonna wanna make sure that this is, you know, packed down a little bit. And so as you can see, the bud is green. It's basically, you know, fresh. What I want you to observe is versus at the end after we've, you know, used it for a little bit, you're going to have material in there that looks almost dehydrated. That's how you'll know you are done vaping that particular dose. So with that said, we're going to screw this little piece back on. And I'm going to essentially screw this piece in. And so again, now this is that piece that sits on top. This is where the bud is loaded. And then the bag is what you're going to actually inflate with the vapor. So this is kind of a fun little show. You want to, this is all manual, by the way, I might add. So you want to be careful. You want to monitor your bag because you could bust the bag by overfilling it and not paying attention. So this should not be left on autopilot. I'm going to hit air. And you're going to see that the bag is going to start inflating. What I will mention is there's definitely going to be different consistencies of vapor depending on the temperature and depending on how many times you've reloaded the bag. So you can tell maybe this is a little cloudy but not too cloudy, and it's also not super clear either. I think this is a good color for what I'm looking for. So then you're gonna hit that air button at the end to make sure that it turns the machine off. And then you're just going to pluck your bag off. And so this is essentially now full of my cannabis vapor. What I wanna highlight is these bags are reusable. So once I'm gonna be done consuming this bag, I can just put it right back on top and keep refilling my device. You can buy additional bags, you can buy, like I mentioned, there's a hose, but there's definitely other accessories. So this is really just like a get started, kind of what's in the box, how would I use it? And so it comes with this little mouthpiece. What's really cool about this is it controls how, like the air isn't gonna come out, but maybe you can catch this on camera. If I push down, you can start to see some of that vapor smoke coming out. This little device is really handy in the sense that it kind of helps gauge and keep that smoke in there. So to use, all I'm going to do is put my mouth on it and kind of push down on this piece and start inhaling. Great because I can, like I said, taste those terpenes, so I'm definitely getting a little bit of citrus flavor from this strain, and it's just a nice, cleaner way for you to be consuming cannabis. Again, just kind of for, you know, movie magic's sake, I'm going to show you finishing the bag, and then we're going to reload one more bag just so you can get a sense for kind of what that process looks like. Kind of on the subject of, you know, smoke coming out, depending on what you're burning it at, you might not always see plumes of smoke. I know that as a former smoker myself, I kind of like seeing that. When you're vaping, you're not going to see the smoke because it's actually vapor. But if you see a little bit of smoke, that's because you're hitting it at a higher temperature. Heat causes smoke. So definitely when you're getting up in temps, you might see more of that being produced. Just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and we're gonna up this just to a couple, you know, hotter degrees. So now you can see that the device is gonna continue to heat up itself. Again, it's gonna take a couple seconds. And then all I'm gonna do is just put this piece back on. I took that little mouthpiece off. I'm gonna hit air and it's going to start filling that bag again. And it's using the same bud. When you load it in here, you could probably get, I've been averaging 2 to 5 before I notice the taste kind of changes. This bag is definitely a little bit more, the word they've been using is milkier, so a little bit thicker of that vapor consistency. And to me, this is just another good sign as I'm loading more of the bags, watching for that to continue to have color to it. Once it goes clear, it might mean that it's time to, you know, reload a bowl, as they say. I'm gonna take one more puff. Ooh, see, just by going up a couple more temperatures, I definitely feel like I produced even more smoke from the bud. That is kind of a quick walk down of the Volcano. This is the hybrid model. There is an original model. We carry them at Restart CBD. So if this is something that you want to shop, if this is something that you have more questions about, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, definitely reach out to us. Let us know your thoughts. One more thing before we go, I wanted to highlight the device is going to turn itself off. It has a self timer at 30 minutes, so that way you don't have to worry about this overheating. It's always a best practice to remove your loading bowl. This is, you know, plastic and this is heat, so we don't want to keep that there. And then, like I mentioned, the heat is both your on and your off button. So I'm gonna just go ahead and turn it off. And then you're gonna start seeing this number drop down. That just means that the device is still hot, but it is powering itself down. And yeah, if you are somebody who is looking for a more health conscious way to continue to consume cannabis, I hope that this video gave you something to think about. I know when I was exploring using this for the first time, I was asking a lot of questions. There were a lot of things that I didn't know how to do. And so we're obviously more than happy to help you on your cannabis journey. Thanks again for watching this video. We appreciate you tuning in to the Restart CBD channel. If you want to follow along for other videos and tips on cannabis consumption, make sure that you hit subscribe. And if you want to join the conversation, make sure you leave a comment below. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, we are on social media. We want to hear from you. Find us on Instagram, find us obviously here on YouTube, come visit us in the store. Make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you follow along. If you love the video, if you have comments, questions, leave them in the comments below. And thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.